There is a photography adventure that I have wanted to do for years. Right, so this is a map of the UK, kind of. I've did a really bad job of drawing it, but let me help you out here. Got London. This is supposed to be Wales. The Scottish border is somewhere about there, which would make Edinburgh about there-ish. Glasgow about there. Isle of Skye is going to be somewhere over here. And the Northwest Highlands are going to be sort of up here. Now, not many people know this, but the north of Scotland, the very north, the Highlands, is, well, it's almost an island. Because there is a route, a waterway, that cuts Scotland straight in half. It's called the Great Glen Canoe Trail, and it's formed by 3 lochs. Loch Lochy, Loch Oik, and then Loch Ness. And those 3 lochs are connected by a series of canals and rivers. And essentially, you can paddle from the Irish Sea or the Atlantic all the way to the North Sea. Now that is a trip that's going to take me about 4 to 5 days, and it's going to take me through some of the most beautiful scenery in Scotland. And we're going to do it all in this, my kayak. So today, we need to sort the gear out, load up the kayak, drive to Scotland, figure out the logistics because it's such a long trip. When you get to the end of it, well, you've got to get back and so on and so forth. I'm not doing this alone. I am paddling this with my mate Murray from Scotland's Mountains YouTube channel. It's going to be incredible. I have no idea what to expect. I feel vastly unprepared, but I do know it's going to be an adventure. There's going to be some photographic opportunities, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Alright, I have wrestled my kayak out of the garage. She's a 14.5 foot long Dagger Strata. She's a sea kayak, but more of a hybrid. And this is Monty. And no, he's not coming on the journey. She's a stable craft, and with 2 stowage compartments, front and rear, plus webbing and strapping on the top, she's capable of carrying me and a lot of gear. And she is currently sitting on a Sea Tug kayak trolley. Now, she's a big girl, but she's not that big. Now, all of the advice that I've received is to pack light, pack minimal, and be considerate of every single item that you bring on this adventure. Yeah, might struggle there. So I've packed what I think is everything I need for a 5-day kayaking, wild camping, landscape photography adventure. It's all here, and we're going to go through everything, some old kit, some new kit. But before we do that, let me tell you that this video is not sponsored, which is great, but that doesn't mean I still don't want to try and flog your stuff and tell you about a few things. So I have a couple of landscape photography books available. There's a link in the description. I also sell prints, and in January, I'm running a photography workshop in Japan. It's Hokkaido in winter. It did sell out, but then a few people cancelled, unfortunately. So there are a couple of spaces that have opened up. So if you're interested in that, there is a link below. But for now, let's see what we've got going on here for our big adventure. So we've already looked at the kayak and the trolley, but of course I will need a paddle. This is a Palm Drift Pro carbon fiber, splits into 2, and there, it's a paddle. I have a buoyancy aid, which has a nice big pocket on the front. However, I think this buoyancy aid is actually for whitewater rapids. It's not massively practical for a long trip, but I paid for it, so I'm keeping it. It does the job, and to be honest, it's not too bad. A little pair of fingerless gloves, which are actually for riding a bicycle, but I use them to paddle, otherwise I'll get blisters just here. A pair of lightweight neoprene socks with rubber soles. Great for getting in and out of the kayak, wet feet, paddling all day. Should do the job just fine. This is a spray deck. You sort of pull this over yourself, like so, and then doesn't go around your neck, it goes around your waist. And then you have this big piece of neoprene which covers the big hole in the kayak that you're sitting in. And that means if it's raining or if it's particularly choppy, then no water will get inside of the kayak. I'm bringing this. I don't typically like to wear it, but as I said, if it's raining, this thing is going to be absolute lifesaver. Wishful thinking, but if it's sunny, I've got my sun hat. Now, pretty much everything else is going to go inside of the kayak, so the front and the rear stowage, apart from this. This is my deck bag. So as the name suggests, this bag sits on the deck of my kayak, which is great because it's fully waterproof and it allows me to access stuff without essentially having to stop the kayak, get out and faff about in the holes. So in the zip compartment, we have a pair of sunglasses. Again, wishful thinking, but you know, you never know your luck. We have some sunscreen, which is a natural one made of zinc, very good. And we have an emergency locator beacon should something happen and there's no phone service. I can also keep snacks inside of here as well, and I'm planning on putting a waterproof jacket in there. Inside of the main bag itself, see if you can guess, a 100 to 400 millimeter lens in case we see any wildlife or anything of interest, quick access. And I have this little camera bag. Inside, we have my Nikon Z8 with a 24-70, some memory cards and some spare batteries. That should be everything I need access to when actually paddling. Oh, and of course, a bottle of water with a 617 Club logo on there. And if you're interested, the 617 Club is my photography community. I run it with Simon Baxter. It's fantastic. We have weekly live streams, regular meetups. In fact, just yesterday, we had a really nice meetup at a brewery. It was fantastic. We have special guest speakers. We have photography competitions with great prizes. Honestly, it's such an amazing community, and genuinely, people are so well connected and have made many new friends, and it really is growing so beautifully. So if you're interested in that, there's a link below. The season has just ended, which means over the summer, the club's still open and people are still active and people are still organising their own meetups and their own competitions. But Simon and I take a step back. We don't do the live streams because we are busy planning and prepping for season 2. So check that out if you're into your landscape photography. In fact, if you're into any kind of photography, it's fantastic. Right, what did I say? Water bottle, water filter. This is my Platypus Gravity Works. It's an amazing filter. In fact, I've had this for years, but I've just replaced the actual filter itself. So not the bags are fine. 2 big 4-litre bags here. And the beauty of this filter is there's no work involved at all. You've got a nice big cartridge here, and all you do is you hang it off a tree or a tripod, and gravity pulls the water through from a dirty bag into a nice big clean bag, like so. And then you just have a little tap. So at camp, you can have 4 litres of water with a very simple on-off clicky switch, which will give you fresh, clean drinking water. So yeah, the Platypus Gravity Works filter, highly recommended. So let's move on to cooking and eating. In this bag is effectively my kitchen. Inside of here, we have a jet boil, a couple of LED lights. These are magnetic, so they're great for just having around camp. Some kitchen roll, a cup, bowl, a spoon, a lighter, and my Swiss Army knife. This is the full fat version that basically has everything on it. So every single day I've prepped breakfast, and it's all inside of this yellow dry bag. Let's have a look. 3 bananas. Now we are going to be going for 5 days, but I reckon 3 days is the most I can get out of fresh fruit. Inside of here I've prepped porridge with fruit, nuts and some protein powder. So all I have to do for this is add hot water, and that is a nice, nutritious, filling meal, full of calories and full of protein. And of course, I have one of these for every single morning at camp. Oh, this bad boy, well, this is lunch. So again, I've made up 5 lunch packs, essentially. Now in here is a tin of Spam, some fruit and nut, an energy bar, and a packet of beef jerky. I also have this. Inside are a few eggs, which I'm desperately hoping are not going to break in transit, and some Ryvita. This is all in a separate Tupperware box because, well, it's all so fragile. Now I have mixed up my packets a little bit. It's not Spam every day. We also have some smoked mackerel fillets in olive oil. And again, I have 1 lunch pack for every day on the trail, or on the canal, on the water. And this is my evening meal pack. We have 5 of these dehydrated meals, varying in flavor and ingredients. This one, chicken keema curry, a chocolate bar to go with each of the meals, and nice little hack if you're doing anything strenuous. This is couscous, and I add couscous to all of these meals to bulk it out, to add calories, and just to give you more of a well-rounded meal. In this green bag, we just have a selection of small snacks which I can keep in the kayak to grab on the go, and for some reason we have a mango. And finally, we have our brew bag, our brew gear. So obviously we have the kitchen for boiling water. In here we have some tea bags, a large selection of sweet hot drinks. We have some small milk, little UHT milks there, and a jar of coffee. So far, I don't think we're doing too badly. I can't see anything in this lot that isn't absolutely essential. Now, one thing which is probably not essential, but I'm bringing anyway, is a camping chair for that bit of comfort while cooking dinner and eating food. And I was just gonna keep this in the bag, but as I get older, I find that kneeling down and sitting on the floor becomes more and more painful. So if you don't mind, I'll sit on my camp chair, which of course is just a demonstration, and then and we'll continue recording this video. Oh, that's better. So one camping chair. Next on the item is this. This is my bathroom bag. So in here we have a collection of things. We have a microfiber towel in case we go for a swim or in case everything just gets soaking wet. A first aid kit. Well, you know, in case you have an accident. General wash bag, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, that sort of thing. Paracetamol, ibuprofen. And finally, I would argue one of the most important items on this entire trip. More important than the paddle. Smidge. Without this, face it, there's going to be no joy, just misery. I also have a mosquito head net, which I don't have in here. It's currently in a drawer upstairs, but I've just remembered, and it will be in this bag very shortly. This is my kind of tool bag, sort of. This is, you know, if you need to fix something, or you know, you need to make something. So in here we have this. This is a weird kind of sponge that absorbs so much water I don't quite understand it. At the minute it's crispy and dry, but when this thing gets wet, it just continues to drink water. So it's great for drying the inside of my tent if there's condensation, or wiping down the inside of the kayak if we get water inside. Got a head torch. I don't really expect to need this because up in Scotland at this time of year, it's basically 24 hours of daylight there or thereabouts. Some double-sided sticky pads. These things they just tend to come in handy. Bungee cord in case I need to strap something to the kayak. A small handful of cable ties. A length of cord. Some cotton wool soaked in Vaseline, which is great for starting a fire. And if we do need to make a fire, cut some wood, do any kind of bushcraft around camp, I have this, which is my Bushcraft Store bushcraft knife. This is a beautiful little thing, and it also has a fire steel on here, so we can create a spark. And as well, inside of this sheath, there is a sharpening stone, so I can maintain the blade if necessary. I'm bringing this with me, which is a basic sit pad, but these are great to have around camp to stand on or to cook on or to sit on if the ground's wet, or for some reason my chair isn't operational. So these are handy, they don't weigh anything. Now let's move on to camp. Now, a bit annoyed about this one. I'm bringing with me my Nordisk Telemark 2 tent. I don't like this tent. It's not great. It's very lightweight, 950 grams. And that's about all it's got going for it. It's hellish for condensation. It's really small, so it's quite claustrophobic. If I'm camping for up to 5 days, and if the midges are out, if it's raining, you're in a really small space, it can get a bit grim inside of here. But it's all I have now. I did order a new tent. I ordered it weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And it should be here. It should have been here 6 days ago, and it's not here. If it comes by some miracle in the next 24 hours, then there will be an addition to this video at the end. But as it stands, we're in the Telemark 2 tent. Now, one thing that did arrive is my new sleeping pad. I've got it wrapped up inside of this. This is a waterproof stuff sack that well, it looks a little bit phallic, doesn't it? But no, this is a pump sack, so you use this to pump up the airbed or the camping mats. Let me get this out because I'm very pleased with this. You can see how big the pump sack is, which means you can blow things up in just seconds. But we'll get onto that in a minute. This is my Alpkit Whisper sleeping pad. Now, I usually use my Thermarest X Lite. Was it Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite is what I usually use. But that now is so old, probably 10 years old. And when I sleep on it in the morning, usually about 4 a.m., I'm touching the ground. Can't find a slow leak anywhere, so I need to refill it. So I thought it's about time I got a new one. But now I don't mean to rant. Have you seen the prices of inflatable airbeds these days? Astronomical. I looked at another one by Thermarest, can't remember the name of it, but it was 250 quid. Unbelievable. So I had a look around and I found this, the Alp Kit Whisper. This was about £79, and it's brilliant. I'm not going to blow it. You'll see it in you know, when I'm out setting up camp and stuff. It's amazing. It's a big, wide, comfortable airbed. It's 720 grams, so it's lightweight. It's not super lightweight, but it is lightweight. And it's 65 centimeters wide. So it's a big, wide bed, and it has an R value of 2.5, so this will keep you warm. It comes with its own pump sack, but it's quite a small pump sack, so it takes a while to inflate. Whereas with this big boy, it takes about 10 seconds to inflate, so that's why I've got it in there. And for extra protection in case, God forbid, we do capsize, you know, I want everything to stay dry. So these are my heavyweight dry bags. These things are 100% waterproof, so I've got the really important stuff in here. And inside of this one is my sleeping quilt. It's not a sleeping, well, it is a sleeping bag. It has a box on it that you can zip up, but it's also a quilt. I've had this one for quite a while now. It's made by a company called Feathered Friends, and it's really super lightweight, really compact, and beautifully warm. Perfect for this time of year. I can have it as a sleeping bag, or I can open it up and have it as a quilt, which is most likely what I'll do, because inside of that bag I also have my sleeping bag liner, which I will slip over my sleeping pad, and yeah, that'll be like a sheet with a quilt. It'll be lovely. This is another heavy duty bag, which means the items in here must stay dry. It's very important. And in here, well, it's my clothing. Now, I don't plan on taking many clothes at all. I have the clothes I'll be paddling in, and then I have a set of camp clothes, basically, so I'll get changed. So I've got a wool buff made by Valorette. I figure if it's a bit nippy of an evening, or if the midges are out, this thing can just help protect more of my skin from those biting insects. A little hoodie, a little thermal top, pair of trousers, a few pairs of socks and underwear. And then I brought these with me. These are my down quilted trousers. These things are for winter, but bear with me. One, it's Scotland and anything can happen with the weather, and when you put these on, oh, it's like a hug for your legs. It's unbelievable. And I figured, you know, if it's cold, these might be nice around camp. And as well as that, I have my down jacket, which again is more for winter, but could be lovely sitting around camp. However, these things serve a dual purpose. You see, I've always struggled with camping pillows. I find them too hard, and your head tends to roll off them. And even though they're inflatable and spongy, they don't stretch. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but yeah, camping pillows, not great. I like to sink into a pillow, not bounce off it. So I have this. This is essentially a little pillowcase. And what you do is you stuff your clothes inside of here. And if you stuff in a pair of down trousers and or a down jacket, it's an amazing pillow. It's just fantastic. So I figured we have a nice pillow and we have some warm clothes in case the weather turns or you get wet and it's windy. You know, we'll see. Fingers crossed, the weather is set to be pretty good. And here is a waterproof jacket. Now, obviously, I am documenting this whole journey and hopefully making a great video. So let's talk about photography and filming and the kayak, because I tell you what, I've had a bit of fun trying to rig cameras to the kayak and get various angles, and as well I've been racking my brain about what camera gear to bring and how to store it. So you've already seen my deck bag that contains my Nikon Z8 with a couple of lenses that are fast access. That's going to be my main camera for stills, both at camp and on the move, on the water. In this dry bag is my drone. So I've just wrapped them in these bubble wrap bags. That's the controller of the drone, a couple of spare batteries. My drone, if you're interested, is a DJI Air 3. This thing's brilliant. It's got the dual lenses on the front there, so you can have a long lens, you can have a normal lens. 100% reliability, never flies away, great battery life, nice and easy to use. Yeah, Couldn't ask for anything more. It also shoots amazing stills, like 48 megapixel RAW files, they'll stitch panoramics in the air, all sorts of stuff. It really is a fantastic piece of kit. So for the videography side of this adventure, obviously we've got the drone that I've just mentioned. I've got in here, this is my DJI Pocket 3, which I'll be honest with you, I'm only really taking as a backup. I'm not sure I will use it that much. We'll see about that one, because I'm also bringing this camera, which is my Sony ZV-E1. This is my camp camera. This really won't be coming out when on the kayak. This is when I get to camp and I really want to make high quality production, you know, great videos. This camera. I also have in this bag another lens for the Sony ZV-E1, an assortment of USB cables for charging batteries. I have a microphone for this camera and various power banks. We've got 3 in total. I'm not sure of the milliamp hour wattage and all that sort of stuff, but I'm hoping that these 3 batteries fully charged will keep everything nice and juiced up, especially if I'm efficient with my filming and my photography. So it's really important to me that I do a good job when filming this adventure at camp with this camera that I'm filming on now. Easy peasy, but capturing the kayaking, the main meat and bones of this journey, well, that's quite tricky. We have the drone, but even that's difficult to launch when out on the water. So I've rigged the kayak with a couple of different camera setups, and I'm quite proud of them. Now, I will say, I absolutely did not want to drill into the kayak, so I've not done any of that. But what I've done is I've created this quick release camera mount at the front of the kayak. This is a piece of plumbing pipe, which I have attached to a metal plate and a ratchet strap, so I can ratchet this down onto the kayak, and it's pretty solid. It's not going anywhere. Now, the beauty of this is that it fits perfectly this GoPro handle. This isn't a GoPro, this is a DJI Action 5, basically the same thing, but the reason I bought this camera is because it works with my little radio mic, so we will have perfect audio when kayaking across Scotland. Now, the pipe and the handle just fit nicely. Look at that, effortless. And then if I want to spin around and show the front of the kayak as I'm paddling, I can do that. I can spin it back and do a piece to camera. So that is one angle or 2 angles covered. Let me show you the second bit of filming. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the kayak is sitting on a sea tug trolley. Let me just lift this off. Oh, there we go. All right. Now, this does break down and fit inside of the stowage compartments, but not with all of this gear. So it has to basically sit on deck. Now, here's the genius part. You see, I didn't want to drill into the kayak, but I had no problem drilling into the kayak trolley. So I have bolted to the underside of the trolley this little ball head. And attached to the ball head will be my 360 camera, nice and simple, like so. And that is going to be strong enough to basically capture any angles. I can extend this arm all the way out to the side, so you kind of get a side view of me paddling. You can have it straight overhead, so you get a top down of me paddling. It's great. It basically means I've got so many angles to choose from in the edit suite when out paddling. Add to that the drone, bit of voiceover, some handheld footage from this camera as well. We should be able to create a masterpiece. But tune in next week to find out if in fact that is the case. All of this, well, it could just fall apart. What actually is important to say is all of my cameras, this one and the DJI Action thing, they're all tethered onto the kayak. So if my mounts do break and fall apart, at least we're not gonna pollute the locks with all of this gear. So there's a lot of gear here, all meticulously packed with love and care, but one thing I actually haven't done yet is tried to fit it all in the kayak, so that's what we're gonna do now. I really hope it fits. I don't wanna have to start strapping things to the outside, but if that's what happens, then that's what happens. Let's see. But before I do this, let me just tell you one more thing, one more quick pitch. In March, I'm going to India with my friend Brendan, and we're gonna be photographing landscapes and tigers. Now, this isn't my workshop. I'm just tagging along with Brendan, but he kindly let me come. So I said that I would mention it in a video that there's this trip happening because Brendan runs a travel photography company. So if you fancy hanging out in India, photographing tigers and mountains, again, there'll be a link in the description below. But for now, let's see if we can load this kayak. I'm pretty confident. Well, that was tight, but on the first attempt, we got everything in without any real problems, apart from this, my eggs and Ryvita. Now, I reckon with a little bit of jigging around, we should be able to squeeze this in. If not, well, we're gonna keep one of the lunches up front in the yellow deck bag, and that will, you know, I'm sure we can do something, basically eat the food or just chuck this in there, no problem. But there we go, everything in for a nice, sleek paddling experience. I don't know. Anyway, it's not even started yet. We've got to load this onto the car, drive 5.5 hours north to Fort William, and we're going to camp for the night before the adventure begins. So I won't bore you with all of that. Let's just get up to Scotland. Welcome everybody to Scotland. After quite a long drive, we have arrived at a campsite just outside of Fort William. You can see my kayak and tent there, and that is Murray's kayak and tent. If I spin you around, actually, I'm going to shove the camera in his face, make him feel uncomfortable. There's the man himself. How you doing?
Not bad.
Not bad. All set. So it's not just a case of driving to Scotland and kayaking the Great Glen Canoe Trail. It's so much more complicated than that. We have 2 vehicles here at Fort William. Now we're going to drive both of these vehicles for 1 hour 45 minutes to Inverness and leave one of them behind. That will be our carriage home after 5 days of paddling. And then we drive all the way back tonight in one vehicle, which we will leave at Fort William, the start point of the Great Glen Canoe Trail. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inverness. This will be our finish point in approximately 5 days' time if all goes well and all goes to plan. Now, this is the terrifying thing. That was like a 2-hour drive, and we more or less drove the route. And I tell you what, like, Loch Ness is never ending. I'm driving on it 60 mile an hour for about an hour, and I'm thinking, how are we gonna paddle this? I have no idea. So this is gonna be a journey and a half, but for now, the logistics is almost complete. Now, unfortunately, my new tent, well, it never did arrive, but I have made a couple of additions to the kit that I showed you before. Let me show you. This is the first addition I've made to my kit, which I'm really excited about, and that is, bear with me, a fishing rod. I've got a fishing rod, I've got some spinners and obviously a reel. So I figure at camp of an evening, it's a nice way to spend some time, cast out a line and see if we can catch any trout. That's one thing. Another thing which isn't as exciting is that I'm changing my footwear. You really don't care about that. I had some neoprene slippers, little socks with rubber soles. I figured they might not be enough. So I've gone for some thicker neoprene boots. That's it. I can't be bothered digging them out to show you. We have a long drive back to Fort William. So yeah man, logistics.
I think our end point's along there at the top of these locks, and we'll have to
portage down.
Yeah. I'll just go out my bike.
Okay, so I'm whispering. It is 20 to 11 at night. So So that's it. We are basically ready for this adventure. My car is all the way over in Inverness, and ahead of us we have about 4 or 5 days of paddling to reach the end point. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be photography, there's going to be a bit of fishing, camping, of course, kayaking. I'm so excited for this. So make sure, if you're not a subscriber already, then subscribe, because the big adventure will begin next week on this channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next week. Cheers, guys.